Royal Communications even a welcome to King News Room 45 minutes news in our lab area in our one word. Today is Thursday, August 28th, 2025, and I'm Simon here presenting the headlines Lawrence LTA officer was heard arguing in the league audio with agency operations for the release of drug dealer fear for his life. He accuses his boss of hiring funds to assassinate him for releasing the audio. President of Liberia officially dedicates new Hill office in Simcoe as PUL President Julius Campbell exposes plans for the construction of the Union National Headquarters. And also in the news tonight, President Joseph Boakai dismisses LBA Director General Anthony Swart and his two deputies. It is after a leaked audio linking the agency's Director of Operations to the release of drug dealers went viral. Away from home, seven migrants deported from the U.S. have arrived in Rwanda. The first of 200 expected to be taken in by the African state on a deal reached with U.S. President Donald Trump. His nephew of Equatorial Guinea's president, who was at the center of the sex tape scandal last year, has been sentenced to 8 years in prison for embezzlement. These was the news bulletin. Voices of those making the news out of package. We'll take a short break to be right back. Welcome back. At this juncture, we join Sam and Juice with the news bulletin.
Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency officer identified as Lawrence Gay has alleged death threat from his boss, Deputy Director for Operations, following a leaked audio. In an interview with King's FM, Officer Lawrence Gale, a field officer at the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency, claimed he and his family lives are under threat following the release of an explosive audio recording involving himself and the Deputy Director for Operations. In an interview, Gay alleged that his boss, angered by the public release of the audio, has been retaliating by sharing his personal contact with unknown individuals who are now calling him with threats to kill him and his family. According to LBEA officer Lawrence Gay, the dispute began after he and his team arrested the deputy director's daughter with illegal drugs. He claimed that his superior called him directly and instructed him to release the suspect and deny the authenticity of the audio that captured the conversation. President Joseph Walker has, with immediate effect, dismissed top officials from the Liberal People's Day over what the executive mansion termed administrative reasons. The dismissed officials of the LDEA are Director General Anthony Swart, Deputy Director for Administration Wee Tupa, and Deputy Director General for Operations Sebastian Farr. President Barker's dismissal of the three LDEA officials following recent leaked audio, which implicates the agency Deputy Director for Operations to ordering the release of his daughter, who was arrested along with other drug dealers during a ghetto raid. This is the second time in less than 2 years the Liberian government or president has dismissed officials of the LDAA due to what is believed to be conflict of interest among top officials of the Drug Enforcement Agency in the fight against drug smuggling and abuse. Following the dismissal of the three officials from the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency, President Walker appointed an interim management team to steer the affairs of the institution pending further action and the appointment of a new management team. The Liberian National Police has announced the dismissal of patrolmen Edward Caesar and Stephen one from the police support unit, the two caught on camera stealing at the former national headquarters of the Congress of Democratic Change, eviction and destruction. A press statement issued Thursday noted that the decision follows an internal investigation that confirmed the officers committed conduct, abuse of authority, and other unsatisfactory conduct. The investigation carried out by the Professional Standards Department found that both officers violated LNP rules on discipline and professional standard as outlined in the discipline regulations of 2016. According to the release, the two officers have been removed from active duty and handed over to the Criminal Service Department for further investigation and possible prosecution. The Liberia National Police said it remains committed to its mission of serving the public with professionalism, neutrality, and respect for human rights. Criminal Court A Judge Roosevelt Willie has rescheduled the arson case for Tuesday, September 2nd, after prosecuting lawyers surrendered all pieces of evidence to the defense team on the eve of the trial. Judge Willis' decision, according to our judicial correspondent, was due to a submission made to the court by defense lead lawyer Wilkins Wright that they needed more time to peruse the evidence presented to them. Counselor Wilkins Wright informed the court that the purpose of the discovery of evidence is to enable the defense team to determine and weigh the quality of evidence either to dismiss, squash, or suppress. The defense team said the evidence, sealed in huge boxes, were received on Wednesday late evening at 8 p.m. But in resistance, Maserati County Chief Prosecutor Councilor Richard Scott argued that receiving discovery at 8 p.m. is not ground for requesting more time in the matter, noting that the applications was made in bad faith. The Environmental Protection Agency of Liberia, in partnership with the United Nations Development Program UNDP and GEF, has launched a two-day training workshop in Greensville, Sino County. The training is aimed at strengthening the resilience of vulnerable coastal communities. Participants of the training came from Sino, Maryland, Grand Crew, and Riverside counties, areas considered as increasingly affected by sea level rise, erosion, and biodiversity loss. Activities of the two-day led Dr. Justin Akanli, an international training consultant covering climate change theory, biodiversity impacts, coastal resource mapping, and conflict prevention. Other facilitators are engaging participants on integrated coastal zone management, inclusive planning, and socioeconomic issues affecting women, children, and persons with disability. The workshop provides tools and a strategy for climate adaptation, including participatory planning, biodiversity monitoring, and sustainable coastal governance. Monserrate County District 18 Representative Edward Flomo has accused members of the executive of misappropriating national resources to finance their personal projects and political activities. In an interview Thursday, Representative Edward Papi Flomo said a huge number of government officials residing in his district who previously had limited means of handling money for themselves are now using state money to construct private homes and distribute money in an effort to undermine his leadership. According to him, these officials are stealing government money to fight against him, bragging of being financially strong, adding that no government official can destroy his political career. Representative Edward Papi Flomo emphasized that he has always been financially stable, even even before his election, and insisted he would not rely on government money to develop his district. Bon County Pata District Police Inspector Jacob Valmore has died as a result of a traffic motor accident on Ganta Highway. Local police authorities confirmed the incident happened on the night of Wednesday, August 27, at Far East Junction in Banga. Bon County Acting Police Commander Chris Gono said Inspector Valmo was riding a motorbike from Ganta Highway when he collided with a grain pickup truck coming from Monrovia. Prior to his death, he was rushed to CB Dumba Hospital in Banga, where health workers pronounced him dead. The pickup driver reportedly fled the scene before police arrived. The vehicle has been impounded and is now held at the headquarters of the Liberia National Police in Banga. And a 14-year-old 12th grade student at Calvary Baptist School System, Marcus Galayune, is appealing to the government and humanitarians for a scholarship to further his study after completion of high school. Marcus, in an interview Thursday, expressed his desire of becoming a medical doctor. The school administration has described the 14-year 12th grader as brilliant.
Sam and Juice with the news bulletin. The news bulletin is a regular feature on King's Newsroom. A reminder you're listening to King's Newsroom, 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa, and our one world. Stories we're following tonight: Lawrence K. LD, a field officer who was heard arguing in a leaked audio with the agency deputy director of operations over release of drug dealers, have expressed fear for his life. He accuses his boss of hiring thugs to assassinate him for releasing the audio. President of Liberia officially dedicates new health office in Cinco as PUAL President Julius Kanumba discloses plans for the construction of the Union National Headquarters. And also in the news tonight, President Joseph Boakai dismisses LDEA Director General Antonio Swat and his two deputies days after a leaked audio indicate that the agency deputy director for operations to the release of drug dealers. Away from home, 7 migrants deported from the U.S. have arrived in Rwanda, the first of 250 expected to be taken in by the African state on a deal reached with President Donald Trump's administration. A nephew of Equatorial Guinea's President Teodoro Obiang Nguema, who was at the center of the sex tape scandal last year, has been sentenced to 8 years in prison for embezzlement. We'll take a break to be back with voices of the newsmakers. Welcome back and thanks for being there. Members of the National Teachers Association in Mangibi and Bapolo counties have reportedly stepped up their campaign aimed at pressuring the association's president, Mary Yoman, to submit to the directive of the Civil Law Code. On November 11, 2024, the Civil Law Code ordered NTAL President Mary Yoman to submit herself to the demand of the majority bloc of the National Executive Committee regarding an audit. Addressing a press conference in Habel, spokesperson of the female teachers in Magabi County, Moiman Kamara, said it is a very bad signal to see the head of the institution disrespecting the decision of the court.
We have come to appeal to the Minister of Education, Honorable Dr. Jaso M. Jala, to personally prevail on Mrs. Mary W. Moluka Newman to discontinue her disrespectful act toward constituted authorities, especially the court. As a mother and classroom teacher, it is quite embarrassing to continue to hear news about a colleague of ours in a teaching profession disrespecting a court. If we as mothers can openly disrespect authorities such as the Court of Records, why will we teach our children as well as our students? What is the crime in allowing the 2018 to 2022 NEC members to cause the accounts of the NTAL to be audited after one of our kinds in person of her honor, George Goda A. Elliott, the then assigned judge at the Civil Law Court A, ruled on November 11, 2022, declaring the rights. As a woman myself, I feel very ashamed of another woman who would allow men to manipulate her in disrespecting an established legal institution like the court. Councillor Murphy Cannon and those in this JNB JKK government are supporting Mrs. Newman to disrespect the court. They are not helping her at all. Councillor Murphy Cannon, the Deputy Director General at NOSCOP and a member of the ruling Unity Party legal team, should be the last person to be standing in the way of an audit at the NTAL. While His Excellency President Joseph Newman Boakai is doing everything possible to fight corruption in Liberia, Councillor Murphy Cannon is busy encouraging his client to defy a court of competence jurisdiction.
Also speaking, the spokesperson of teachers in Wapolu County, Edward Masakwe, called on President Joseph Boakai to stop the Deputy Director General of the National Social Security and Welfare Corporation, Matthew Cannon, from interfering in the affairs of the NTAL.
On behalf of the public school teachers of Wapolu County, we have come to inquire whether there is a calculated conspiracy to devalue our important contributions to society, or there is a cartel in the government cycle that has resolved to support, encourage, protect, and defend Mrs. Mary W. Mumba Yuma in her determination to not submit to an audit at the NTAL. As teachers and educational workers in Wapolu County, we are beginning to realize the intransigence of Mrs. Yuma not to obey the court and judges appointed by the President of Liberia is a well calculated and fully supported by the government of Liberia. Presidential appointee, like the member of the MCSSO, Mrs. Mary W. Mumba Yuma, the national president of the NTAL, being heavily aided and supported by officials of the same government of Liberia, led by Councillor Murphy Cannon, the Deputy Director General at NASCRO. It appears the public school teachers and educational workers are the least regarded civil servant in our country now. This is highly frustrating. This is not what we voted for. While His Excellency President Joseph Newman Boakai is doing everything possible to fight corruption in Liberia, Councillor Murphy Cannon is busy encouraging his client to defy a court of competent jurisdiction, all because he does not want her leadership to be audited. With the full support and backing of Councillor Murphy Cannon and a few other hidden hands in government, this female teacher is ignoring, disobeying, and grossly brushing aside the November 11, 2024 ruling by George Goda A. Bona Elliott, the then assigned judge at the Civil Law Court A.
Edward Masakwe, the spokesperson of teachers in Wapolu County. Earlier, you heard the voice of Moema Kamara, female teachers in Maghibie County, spokesperson, both called in for an audit of the National Teachers Association president. Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency Officer identified as Lawrence Gay has alleged death threats from his boss, the Deputy Director for Operations, following a leaked audio. An interview with King's FM, Officer Gate, a field officer at the LDA, claims he and his family lives are under threat following the release of an explosive audio recording involving himself and the Deputy Director for Operations.
Well, as well we see another call tonight, they say, Peter got going to my home, they asking for me in the community. Oh, they say asking for you in the community? Yeah, Peter may they say just when the community, they're not asking for me. So you say your family are now who you say now home? Yeah, my family now my wife, my children, I still work on it. You know my brother in here, yeah. Yeah. And people still calling you, people going to your house asking whether you get out. Yeah, I will only now say my brother started calling me. So you say, oh man, you are asking for you. So then you now get all the time. But I will call your I'm asking you whether you are called Anthony Saw about what happening to you in the incident. The person I call you I call him, I told him good morning. So you say I'm out there to go to the office, then they will see what they do. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, tomorrow now I won't go. I won't take the airway first before going to the office. But I hope you stay where you are. You stay because your life matters. Yeah. I lead the entire community. So what's the daughter? I think that man he took a guess. He took a guess from us. Take a daughter from us. I say very Joe for the embarrassing part that when they mentioned that they disrobed me, took my uniform, took my boots. The money that I had on me, I told them that later on I started forcing door. I had a brother in the community, but I said no, but okay, read other people not children because they read how you disgracing the name, but when I allow the car will not go. The how you put me down. Put me down now, my money level is out. No, but I need my money to go on Wednesday, I'm getting me money. And then give me 2,000 about other 13,000. So I started raising attention, I'm not for money, I swear to Lord, forget it, then he go. The hard left then. Now he called me. Yesterday he called me, my other number. So my man, I beg you, know what you do for me. And when you go by our air and we bought the statement said that I you myself was talking. If you do that, I got something for you. So I told him, but nobody can be. So I discussed with my other friend, other friends said, no, don't do it. You do it, taking rid of yourself. So from yesterday, now, I'm not answering the call. You don't call him again, answer the call. Yeah, because he first of all denied that particular recording that is a AR recording. He can't remember talking with you on issues about his daughter. In fact, people are doing it to get rid of him from the LDA. The police are undermining him. That's why he said. What he said on the radio. After the man said, my brother, he said, drove the car to the office. The Kevin said, drove the car to the office. And he wanted, I think, in the car.
He is an officer of the Liberia Drugs Enforcement Agency. Lawrence gave there, accusing his boss of hiring thugs to assassinate him because he released an audio in which he was requesting the release of his daughter was arrested during a ghetto raid along with other drug dealers. Chief Justice Yamin Bese Thursday launched the long-anticipated verification and credentials audit for judges, magistrates, and judicial staff at the Temple of Justice. In remarks at the launch, Chief Justice Bese described the verification and credential audit as a bold step toward restoring the tarnished image of Liberia judiciary.
I'm confident with our vision to resolve the details. We will embark on the crucial initiative to ensure the integrity and accuracy of our personnel and their credentials. This audit and verification not only reflect us, but to the highest standard of excellence and accountability. The judicial branch of government is an integrity institution. So, to erase the perception of corruption within the judiciary, we must do so certain and ensure that our credentials align with our respective assignments for the efficiency and maximum productivity of the judiciary. Let us together make sure this process is successful with all of us, please cooperate. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Director General himself, who magnanimously agreed to perform this duty so government does not provide money for that, but they are agreed to do it for us, without us.
Chief Justice of Liberia, Yami Kwekwe Bese, The Environmental Protection Agency of Liberia, in partnership with the UNDP and GEF, has launched a 2-day training workshop in Greenville, Sano County. The training is aimed at strengthening the resilience of vulnerable coastal communities. Participants of the training come from Sando, Maryland, Grand Crew, and Riverside counties. Activities of the 2-day training led by Dr. Austin Akankali, an international training consultant who cover climate change theory, biodiversity impact, coastal resource mapping, and conflict prevention.
I'm Professor Justin Akankali. I'm a professor of environmental studies and climate change. And by virtue of the program we're running here today, I'm the lead facilitator for the training of the focal points and the working group for environmental resilience for vulnerable coastal communities in the 9 coastal counties of Liberia, for which we are here in Greenville to train this group of persons for the southeastern states, which include Riverside County, Sino County, Maryland County, and Grand Creek County. The first thing is that there is this challenge is a global one for which Liberia is not insulated, being a country with a vast coastline and vast coastal resources and communities. The impact of climate change is actually affecting all the coastal counties in Liberia, affecting the infrastructure, affecting the biodiversity. Awareness is created, and they are empowered with the requisite knowledge to be able to, live through climate change impact, reduces its consequences, and as much as
He's Dr. Austin Akakali, an international training consultant currently heading a 2-day training of the Environmental Protection Agency in Greenville, Sano County. A reminder, you're listening to King's News, Broom 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa in our one word. Stories are following tonight. Lawrence K. LVEA field officer who was heard arguing in a leaked audio with the agency deputy director for operations over release of drug dealers have expressed fear for his life. K accuses his boss of hiring tongues to assassinate him for releasing the audio. President of Liberia officially dedicates new head office in Sinkom as PUL President Julius Kanumba discloses plans for the construction of the Union National Headquarters. President Joseph Boakai dismisses LDA Director General Anthony Swart and his 2 deputies days after a leaked audio indicated the agency deputy director for operations to the release of drug dealers. Away from home, 7 migrants from the U.S. have arrived in Rwanda, the first of 250 expected to be taken in by the African state under a deal reached with President Donald Trump's administration. A nephew of Equatorial Guinea's President Theodora Ambieng Nguema, who was at the center of a sex tape scandal last year, has been sentenced to 8 years in prison for embezzlement. We'll take a break, come back with more voices. Welcome back and thanks for being there. Monserrado County District 13 Representative Edward Flomo has accused members of the executive of misappropriating national resources to finance their personal projects and political activities. In an interview Thursday, Flomo said a huge number of government officials residing in his district who previously had limited means of handling money for themselves are now using state funds to construct private homes and distribute money in an effort to undermine his leadership.
The roof. The fans are covering the entire roof. Today they never have nothing, but they are using government state and government state money to pay the home. Today they are asking for government to give people money. But the good thing about it, the man you want to fight, the man is financially so. I don't need to wait for government money. I don't need to wait for state resources. Hello, I don't need to wait for government state resources before I carry on development in the district. I have been financially so before entering the race. Entering the race and independently and defeated the two people political party. Went back home, defeated one of the party. I will say 19 days now. We are challenging issues.
Representative Edward Flomo there speaking. A 14-year-old 12th grade student at the Calvary Baptist school system, Marcos Galayene, is appealing to the government and humanitarians for a scholarship to further his studies after completion of high school. Marcos, in an interview Thursday, expressed his desire of becoming a medical doctor.
I am 14 years. I came to this school in the academic year 2023-2024. The environment is very good, and I think this is one of the best schools in the Republic of Liberia. I want to tell my friends let them take their lessons very serious. They shouldn't take their playing business serious over their lesson because education is the key to success. I passed through a tough process, and I'm a man. I can study. I study Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Yeah, sometimes when my quizzing coach come here, sometimes we study and I go and I carry my book with me. I study quizzing for 30 minutes, I study my note for 45 minutes. While in the 11th grade, I choose my class with the age of 89, and now in the 12th grade, I want to become a medical doctor. I have passion for it, and my best subject is biology. If someone will help me anyway, I want to tell my colleagues that let them lead too much of Facebook and TikTok business and focus on their lesson. Yeah, my relationship with my instructor is very good. I love all of my instructors. I want to tell them, government library, that they should please help me when I graduate from high school for me to go to university.
He's Marcos Galayenen, a 14-year-old who's currently in the 12th grade class at the Calvary Baptist school system. They're making a passionate plea to government officials and humanitarians. Bon County Panther District Police Inspector Jacob Vermont has died at the result of a tragic motor accident on the Ganta Highway. Local police authorities in the county confirmed the incident happened on the night of Wednesday, August 27, at Far East Junction in Banga.
Another tragedy accident tonight in Banga City, Bon County, and they circled down on the spot. They say so sorry for us. But it seems to be the men of police. The men of police. A police. My goodness. A policeman. I'm can carry men now. My goodness. Men are policemen.
Highlight from the incident scene. Away from home, 7 migrants deported from the U.S. have arrived in Rwanda, the first of 250 expected to be taken in by the African state under a deal reached with President Donald Trump's administration. The first group of 7 vented migrants arrived in Rwanda in mid-August, Rwandan government spokesperson said. She gave no details about their nationalities, only explaining that 4 of them will remain in Rwanda, with 3 opting to return to their home countries. Rights groups have warned that such deportations could breach international law if people are sent to countries where they risk torture or other abuses. And a nephew of Equatorial Guinea's President Teodoro Nguema, who was at the center of a sex tape scandal last year, has been sentenced to 8 years in prison for embezzlement. And Taxa Ngonga, if the former head of the National Financial Investigation Agency, diverted money for personal use, a court ruled. The leak occurred while he was in detention, accused of depositing a huge sum of embezzled money into secret accounts in the Kidman Atlantis. Well, on that note, that's how we come to the near end of this edition of King's Newsroom. But before we leave, a quick reminder of stories we followed in the headlines. Lawrence K. LDA field officer who was heard arguing in a leaked audio with the agency deputy director for operations over release of drug dealers have expressed fear for his life. Gay accuses his boss of hiring funds to assassinate him for releasing the audio. President of Liberia officially dedicates new health office in Cinco as PUL President Julius Kanumba discloses plans for the construction of the Union National headquarters. He also heard in the news President Joseph Boakai dismisses LDA Director General Antonin Swa and his two deputies. This after a leaked audio implicates the agency deputy director for operations to the release of drug dealers. Away from home, 7 migrants deported from the US have arrived in Rwanda, the first of 250 expected to be taken in by the African state on a deal reached with President Donald Trump's administration. A nephew of Equatorial Guinea's President Deborah Mbing Nguema, who was at the center of a sex theft scandal last year, has been sentenced to 8 years in prison for embezzlement. And thanks to our reporters, correspondents, and all those who helped in making this edition of King's Newsroom a success. Sam Andrews brought you the news bulletin. Frank Diallo Swen started control and handled the technical aspect of this edition. On behalf of the team, I'm Shemon Dea. I presented. Thanks for listening and watching.